Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hey.
So, upcoming is going to be the new year of the Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar, which is Sri Gaur Purnima, our big festival. For us, Gaur Purnima is even bigger festival than Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and we're going to talk about why that is today. So we're going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then we'll talk till about 6 o'clock, and then we'll stop and you can have a few questions. Does that sound good? And then 6:15 the program will start. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jai Gaura Pramanandi. Okay, so we're going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. This is a very famous shloka. Anarpatacharyam Shirat Karunaya Vakirna Kalau Samarpayatam Unatojvalarasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Parata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sada Hridaya Kandares Puratauva Sachinandanaha. Translation. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Shachi Devi, be transcendentally situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is he? This is a question we often get. People come to the temple, they say, I know who Krishna is. I know Jagannath resides in Puri. But who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And why is he so special? This is a question we get. It's a very important question. And the answer is very sublime. Krishna, when he came, he gave a conditional statement. He said, Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharam Braja Aham Tvam Sarvapopevyo Moksha Shimi Masuchaha. Abandon all these realities of religion, all these dharmas, surrender to me. Then, after you do that, then I'll deliver you. That was his condition, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't have that condition. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has one condition. You please take. I've come to give you prema. All you have to do is take it. There's no condition. There's no consideration whether one is high birth, low birth, fallen, exalted, Christian, Hindu, Muslim. There's no consideration. There's only one. You have to have the willingness to take it. Now, some people may object to this. Why is he giving the highest thing to everybody? That doesn't seem fair. But we're not talking about fairness. We're talking about love, and we're talking about mercy. Right? We're talking about in this shloka, Krishna Das Kaviraj says, causeless mercy. It has no cause. There is no impetus. It's not like someone had earned it. Simply, you take it. That's it. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. He's come to give Krishna prema. Now, one may wonder, Antariksha may say, why didn't Krishna give Krishna prema? What's the answer to that, Antariksha?
Well, some of his associates had Krishna prema.
Well, why didn't he come and give it? Why didn't he give it? Why could he only give his Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That's a good answer. That's a perfect answer. If we don't know something, we save a lot of time and energy if we say we don't know, because then we allow ourselves to get the answer. The Buddhists have a saying, if you have a cup and it's full, you can't pour anything else into it. So if we have a humble mentality and we don't know an answer and we question, Krishna will make the arrangement. Very easy answer. Krishna does not have Krishna prema. Let's consider that for a moment. What is Krishna, when he looks out, what does he see? He sees Srimati Radharani. He doesn't see himself. What he sees is Srimati Radharani. She has love for Krishna, right? He has love for her, but she has love for him. And her love is so glorious and so powerful that it even controls Krishna himself. He says this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Radharani is like his guru, and he will dance however she directs him. Why is that? Because love is more powerful than even God himself. His internal potency controls him. So he doesn't have Krishna prema. Krishna doesn't. He doesn't have love for himself. Now, Krishna thought that was a problem, actually. He didn't like this situation. One time he was in Dwarka, and the pillars of Dwarka are polished so smooth and out of so many valuable gems that one can actually see one's reflection. So Krishna one time was looking at one of these pillars. Well, actually he was walking by and he suddenly got astounded. Maybe sometimes you've been at somebody else's house and there's a mirror up, and you suddenly see yourself and you're like, oh, I didn't know there was someone else here. Oh, that's me. I didn't know there was a mirror there. So that happened to Krishna. He's walking and he sees this polished pillar and he says, there I am. Now, if you're a very handsome young man or woman, beautiful woman, maybe sometimes you're even astounded by how beautiful you are. You may say, wow, didn't know I was looking that good today. Krishna has every right to say that. He's all attractive. So when he saw himself, he said, look at that. How beautiful I am. I must captivate the hearts of millions. And he said, but the problem is I can't see myself. I'm here, and someone else is there, and they're seeing me, and they're loving me, and they're enjoying me, and I haven't been able to enjoy it. But because I'm so wonderful, it must be amazing to love me. And I haven't been able to love me. I've actually been cheated. I've been cheated. I don't have something. Who has that? Srimati Radharani has that love for me. This is not fair. I'm missing out. I'm missing out on this wonderful thing, which is devotional service. So Krishna decides, I'm going to have to find out what it is like to be a devotee. I'm going to have to actually learn. I'm going to have to take a guru, and I'm going to have to learn the process of devotional service. He does not think he can have it. Devotional service, bhakti, is something that must be given, but it can only be given by one who has it. So he says, I am going to have to assume this mood of a devotee. So he goes into Radharani's heart, and he takes her praying, and he assumes the form of a devotee. Actually, Chaitanya is Krishna himself. No difference. There's only one difference. The color. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sadam Agashtra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtanar Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. It's from 11th Canto Bhagavatam. That he is Krishna, but Tvisha Krishna. He's a-Krishna. He's not blackish. He's Krishna, but he's not blackish. He is golden, because Srimati Radharani, she is Gaurangi. Her limbs are golden. But that gold you see is the most valuable gold. That all the mines of the world and all the bars that sit in Fort Knox can't compare to that gold. Because that gold is prema. It's resplendent. And one who possesses prema is naturally a resplendent person. That is what Srimati Radharani possesses. So Krishna goes in her heart and he takes that prema. And his form, it changes color by him having it. Suddenly he becomes Gauranga, because he has taken what Gaurangi has, and he is now full. But this is not enough to simply have that. He has to know how to utilize this. So he goes, and who does he surrender to? Ramananda Rai, right? He says, Ramananda Rai, you are my guru. You teach me. This is Ramananda Samvad. So he is God. He is all-powerful, but there is something that controls even him. That is devotional service. That is Srimati Radharani's domain. So Chaitanya, he is Krishna, but he has come to take this. And not just to enjoy it himself. See, there's two things going on here. There's the internal mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there's his external mood. Sometimes we have a problem with this in spiritual life, right? We think, should I spend so much of my time to help others? But then am I going to compromise where I'm not spending enough time cultivating my own spiritual life? Or maybe am I going to spend so much time on my own spiritual life I don't have time to help others? Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our Acharya. He is teaching us how we should execute devotional service. We should do both things simultaneously. Both. We should cultivate our own spiritual internal practice of deep realization, and then we should go and we should give it to others. If one of these are missing, then we're not properly helping in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Take, for example, we don't cultivate our own spiritual life, our own taste for sadhana bhakti. Then when we go and we talk to others, what are we giving them? They're saying, you should do this, it's wonderful. Well, the first thing anyone is going to ask is, how do you know? Just like if I go and I tell you, oh, such and such, it's a wonderful restaurant. And you ask me, well, what do you like there? Well, I've never eaten there. What are you talking about? Now, take the opposite. Say I spend so much time cultivating my own internal bhajan, and I don't give it to others. Then what am I? I'm like a miser. If someone gives you something very valuable and you love it, the first thing you naturally do is you give it to somebody else. Just like if you have someone comes over and you cook something, when they come, the first thing you're thinking is, oh, you have to try this. This is so great, right? Why? Because it's the nature of love to give. Love isn't just to keep. That's a problem. Many people often don't understand what love is. They think love and bliss are synonymous. You understand? They think if I'm in love or I'm feeling love, I'm feeling blissful. That's not always the question of what love is. When a mother wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning because her child has a fever, she's not too happy externally, but that's love. When you don't have any money and you're hard up and you call your mom and dad, and they hardly have any money, but they give you their last $50 because they know that you blew your tire or something, that's love. That's love, giving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's his love, is he's giving. And he's giving unconditionally. He has no requirement. Simply you have to take. Patita Pava Hetu Tava Avatar. Narottam Das Thakur has sung this. That your avatar, your incarnation, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Patita Pavana. You've come to deliver the most fallen person. Sometimes some people think, I don't need Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm Krishna Bhakt. Then yeah, it's probably not for you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he's Patita Pavana. He's come to deliver the fallen. So what we have to, if we want his mercy, we have to have that mindset. I'm the most fallen. And because I'm the most fallen, I should get this mercy. Other people may say I'm very qualified, I'm very educated, and I'm from a good family, I'm very cultured. For them, they may not appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The only person who can appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the person that comes with that same hunger that that Krishna came for that same love. If I'm sitting here thinking that I have no hope in H-E-L-L of getting the mercy of Krishna, because I look at myself and I say, I have all these faults. I have everything working against me. And there's nothing I can do. But if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will somehow take mercy on me and give me this, then I have some type of hope. This is all we have, really. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come to give us. And he's come to show personally, by example, how to execute devotional service. Now this is very important. We find no instance ever, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, or any of the Puranas, of Krishna ever executing devotional service. Never. We see the devotees, but we don't see him. So someone may wonder, well, if I come and I want to do bhakti yoga, how am I supposed to do it? Right? You want a perfect example of this. Especially in this age. Because someone could say, well, that was in Dvarpa Yuga, that was in Satya Yuga, but what about now? How can I realistically execute devotional service? Especially in a time when we have a job, you have to work 8-10 hours a day, sometimes you're commuting 1 to 2 hours a day, and then on top of that we have so many other responsibilities. How can I practically execute devotional service? How can this be done? Well, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport to, I think it's in Gauranga Dutipada, this bhajan, he talks about this. He says, how can you learn something? How can you learn to do something perfectly? Simple. You find somebody else that knows how to do that thing, and then they teach you how to do it. And he gives the example of an engineer. Some of you will relate to that one. He said, just like if the head engineer comes and he teaches you how to do something, it's perfect. Because he himself has mastered it. So what Chaitanya has is he's come, he's learned this science of how to cry for Krishna prema. And because he's learned to do that, then he can teach us how. We read the example in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We see perfect example of Krishna himself teaching us how to execute devotional service. The first thing it begins with is crying out, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Nadia, in Bengal. But that place, Narottam Das Thakur tells us, that's actually not different than Vrindavan. Mayapur that is there in Bengal, if one understands that it is not different than Vrindavan, one is certainly Vrindavan Bas, he says. One is a resident of Vrindavan. That abode is no different. So it's not that there's just one Vrindavan, but Krishna has come and given himself two. But of these two, he's given the most mercy in Mayapur Dham, because he's come to give that mood of a devotee. So we should all aspire and hope to go. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's taught this basic principle, simply to chant Hare Krishna. Now we may think this is very simple, especially if we came from a family where maybe we grew up doing different rituals, maybe doing fire yagyas, learning Sandhya Vandana and all these different things, and we think, but I grew up, I learned all these hard processes and difficult rituals, and I've seen all these difficult rituals come. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, here he comes, and he's made it very simple. Yes, that's exactly it. He's come and made it very simple. Because without that, we don't have any hope. What else, what are we going to do? What kind of sadhana can we do? I mean, really, you think about it. You work here just to maintain a basic house. You have to work all day. And then even when you work and you come home, it's not like you can just walk. You have to either take a bus. Bus breaks down sometimes. You have a car, the car breaks down. I mean, even today we wanted to come over to the temple in the morning and the wire got loose from the starter and we couldn't come. So just to come a few blocks, well, I mean, it's what, 5-degree weather, so we couldn't necessarily walk. But just little inconvenience. What hope do we have? But very easy hope is we can chant Hare Krishna. But it's not chanting, we have to learn to cry Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives this example. So there's Radha Jivana, he's running around, right? And we all hear him crying. As soon as he makes noise, no matter how, if I'm given the best class of my life or the worst, whatever the case is, when he cries, we all turn and look at him, right? What does he need? What does he want? Does he need something? When we learn to cry like that, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna immediately takes notice. And especially, Srimati Radharani takes notice. She is Adi Guru. She takes notice and she hears, here is this child, he's calling. I have to help him. And when she hears, she thinks, Krishna, you have to take him. Even though you may think he's a nonsense, but he's won over my heart. Srimati Radharani's heart is very soft. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has that same mood. So when we learn to cry and we chant Hare Krishna, that I don't have any help. I have no hope at all. But if you somehow will show me your mercy and give me some devotional service, then I have some hope. That is there for all of us. And it's a very easy process. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give each and every one of us, regardless of what qualification or disqualification we have. There's no qualification of Adhikar. There's no consideration. Srila Prabhupada came and think, he simply sat under a tree, Tompkins Square Park, chanted Hare Krishna, and people were immediately drawn to him. And some of his disciples at first, they said to him, one of his disciples said, what many pious activities may have we done in previous lives that now we have your good fortune of having your association chanting Hare Krishna? What was our pious credit? And Srila Prabhupada responded, you had none, I gave it to you. This is what Chaitanya has come to give. There's no consideration. But we have to have one thing, we have to have humility. Just like Antariksha Prabhu, Senior Prabhupada disciple, showing us personally by example. We don't know something, we ask a question, we have humility. We have that same thing, that I need your help. And that first starts with Guru Ashraya. So if we have some faith now, we've seen the potency of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we should sincerely call to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and say, you please send me a guru who can come and help me, who can teach me how to execute devotional service by example. That is why we have the word, you look under Srila Prabhupada's name, it says, founder Acharya of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada wanted this on everything, on every book, every temple. He wanted to state founder Acharya. This word Acharya is very important. It means one who has achara, one who has perfect behavior. This is what a guru should be. Otherwise, anyone could cheat, anyone could put on an act or a show. But Gurudev, we can tell Gurudev because we can see he's experiencing something, and it shows in his behavior. This is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he won over so many people. How Srila Prabhupada won over the hearts of so many people. That deep humility of actually tasting this. This is available for every one of us if we want it. All you have to do is take it. You don't have to think about anything else. You say, I want to chant Hare Krishna. But we have to have that humility that when we chant Hare Krishna, we think, I can't do this by myself. There's no way I can do this by myself. I sit and try to chant Hare Krishna. My mind is thinking about so many things. I'm constantly distracted. But if you, Krishna, can help me, then I'll be okay. Who is Hare when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Who are we addressing when we say Hare? Radharani. Her name is Hara. Who knows what Hara means? No. Very good. Who said that? Prema Sindhu.
She steals the heart of Krishna.
Yeah. Comes from the Dhatu Hrit in Sanskrit, right? You know, did you start learning your Dhatus yet?
Yeah.
Okay, the Hrit, Harati, it's a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Srimati Radharani, literally, Hara literally means thief.
Yeah.
That's what Srimati Radharani is, a thief. Because she takes away Krishna's heart. Now think about that. With a thief, when you have a thief, a thief doesn't give you an option. It just takes. Whether you want it or not, it just takes away. If you open yourself up to Srimati Radharani and ask her to take away these things, and you call out to her, she will take them away, any obstacle. And she'll give us this gift. And this is all possible by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. This is why when we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, right? We first start, we call out the mercy of Guru Srila Prabhupada, then we call out the Panchatattva Mahamantra. We're calling for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So first we're approaching Srila Prabhupada. Please, Srila Prabhupada, you've come to give this gift to all of us, right? He says, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarne. He's come to the Paschata, the Western countries that are filled with Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi, and personalism and voidism. And despite these disqualifications on our part, you've come in to give us this Mahamantra. Please be merciful to me. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you and your associates, you've come to give this gift because Advaita Acharya has called you down. That there was no hope of anyone having any perfection in Kali Yuga, but Advaita Acharya, you've called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu down. You please come and give me this mercy. Then at that point, then we approach the Mahamantra and we begin to chant Hare Krishna. We begin to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So now I'm finally beginning to chant. After getting the mercy of Guru and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now I have the qualification. Only then. What is my qualification? I have the mercy of my Guru, I have the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Besides that, I would have no qualification. Because when I look at myself, all I see is faults. We should see that. If we think we're any good, stop and look at all the bad things in ourselves. You may think, well, this is self-loathing. No, it's honesty. It's honesty. It's looking and saying, I need help. Only if we have this are we going to get this mercy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to give this to everyone because he is Patita Pavana. He has this ready for us. All we have to say is, I am fallen. And then we take our place in the queue. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here and we have a few minutes for questions. So we'll take a few. Yes, Mata. Good to see you again.
Krishna, thank you. So you mentioned that we don't have to have any qualification, we don't have to be educated, we don't have to come from a good family, we don't have to be cultured. But the point is actually that we have to realize our position goodness. We have to realize our position, even if we do have those things. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he appeared in a Brahmin family. It was first class family, and he was very educated and a scholar. And when he was young, the Vaishnavas used to avoid him because he was an expert in logic, and he was always trying to cut people's arguments, and whatever they said, he would disprove it, and then he would prove it again.
Yeah.
He was playing all these games. But it was when he took shelter of his guru that he became the most humble. And then when he went to see the sannyasis in Benares, then he sat by the shoes. He became so humble. So this quality of humility, it's not that we have to, that if we have some quality that disqualifies us from being humble. Everyone has the ability to become humble.
Yes. Yeah, that is a good point. That even if one is one may think, well, I'm very elevated, so it's hard for me to be humble. we could think that, but when you actually look at it, the one thing that you can say even is, I have all these good, wonderful qualities, and because I have them, it's actually so dangerous to my devotional service, because any one of them can give me pride. And with that pride will come the conception that I think somehow or other these qualities are going to last forever. You may be very intelligent, very beautiful, very witty, but how long is that going to last? Perfect example we have here in America, Srila Prabhupada would often give the example, is John F. Kennedy, who was one of the most popular presidents we ever had. He was president in the 60s. Actually, for all you Indian Americans here, you should be very thankful for John F. Kennedy. It was he who lifted the travel restrictions for immigration that allowed Indians and other Asian Americans to come to this country. Did you know that? Yeah, it was before that there was a lot of strictures, and he lifted them. Very, very powerful president. And he had a beautiful family, beautiful wife, and Americans loved him. He was immensely popular. One day he went to Texas. Guy with a gun shot him, and his whole thing was over in I think he was president 2.5 years. That was it. Over. Done. Even, when I was a kid, Ronald Reagan was president. Again, he had been an actor, so he's a very handsome man, even in his elder age. Very stately, witty. He was funny as anything when he was president. But despite all this, when he got old, he got Alzheimer's, and he couldn't even recognize his wife anymore. So we may have all these wonderful qualities, but how long are they really going to last? So part of the humility, even with those kind of qualities, is understanding they're only going to last so long. They're temporary. Another good quality I was thinking when you were speaking is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited extreme humility amongst his seniors, like Haridas Thakur. That, socially, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the high end of the ladder, whereas Haridas Thakur was on the bottom because he came from a Muslim family. So in Hindu culture, the Muslims, they're considered outcasts. They're not allowed in the temple. They won't even, in some families they can't even, they won't, in that kind of traditional culture, they wouldn't even be allowed to touch the Brahmanas. But Haridas Thakur, when he was ill, he was staying at Jagannath Puri. And the devotees said, why don't you go into the temple? Why don't you go see Jagannath? And he said, I'm fallen. I'm from a low family, and I can't see him. But every day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see him. So most of us, when we want to see Krishna, we have to go to the temple. You can take him out, Vidura. We have to go to see the temple to see Krishna. But Krishna was daily coming to see Haridas Thakur. So that's the humility we see for example. He was stating the precedent that what is the qualification by which we can regard another devotee is their devotion, nothing else. And we see that in the way he acted with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur, and even the way he interacted with Jagai and Madai. That's his actual humility, even though they committed so many abominable things. And one would naturally not want to be around someone like Jagai and Madai, people like that. If you saw outside some bum came in the temple, You know, we'd maybe be nice to him, you know, Hare Krishna, thanks for coming, but then you'd say, God, I hope he stays away. No, I don't want to necessarily be by him. But that wasn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. They came, they apologized, I forgive them, and now I'm going to serve them in whatever way I can. So, yeah, thank you. That was a good point. Rasa.
I was just wondering, is Prabhupada somebody that was born just like anybody else, and then he became a pure devotee, or was he like sent down by Krishna to help all of us?
That's a good point. Well, that's a question of faith. One time they actually asked Srila Prabhupada that, and Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna had personally sent him to come and save us. So it depends on if you believe that or not. For all of us, when we see what Srila Prabhupada personally did that was not possible for an ordinary human being to do, I think we should then have faith that that's somebody that Krishna sent. Now, we may become confused sometimes because Srila Prabhupada exhibited personal behavior that may seem like an ordinary human. Remember, he is also an acharya, so he's teaching by example. For instance, one time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj came in the room and he saw Srila Prabhupada was sitting there praying. And Srila Prabhupada left the room, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Srila Prabhupada, why were you praying? He said, I was praying to Krishna that I won't fall down. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee. How would you fall down? Why do you need to pray? He said, it's because I pray that I won't fall down. So he was showing a personal example. But yeah, I think that, you know, if there's ever any question as to Srila Prabhupada's potency, all we can do, and Srila Prabhupada was very clear about this and several times, is you judge a tree by its fruit. Srila Prabhupada had many other god brothers. Not to knock them, but they were, or even potentially look like we're knocking Prabhupada, that were actually more learned than Prabhupada. Like, more scholarly, at an external level. You know, Srila Prabhupada, he had been busy as a businessman and you know, working like this, and the whole time they're sitting there studying shlokas and learning tons of verses. But who came and saved people? You know, the real qualification is bhakti. Verses and learning, these are good, you know, they should be there, but at the core of Srila Prabhupada's heart, bhakti was perfectly there. That's why everyone he could touch, he could help. Thank you. There's a question, babe. Yes, Mataji.
So something for you to elaborate on Upanishad's earlier comment about humility. Yesterday you mentioned about practical application, so I just thought I'd ask you. In my
How, like, what's a practical way we can have humility?
Well, yeah, like how do you get from where you are to where you should be? You know, because humility is something which is
Yeah, it should be natural.
and it is something which attracts Krishna. It's one of the 6 things that attracts Krishna. So the fact that Krishna is so far away, I'm imagining humility is also very far away.
Well, there's a lot of you guys here that got way better example than me, so I'll just try to think about your example and talk about it. You know, I can wake up every day and I can say, am I seeing Krishna? No. There's the humility right there. That I'm thinking what I don't have. I'm waking up and I'm not seeing Krishna. I'm not hearing Krishna's flute. Instead, I'm thinking about this or that other thing. So in that should naturally arise, you know, some type of humility should arise within me. Based on that, I should then think, well, who is it that is seeing or interacting with Krishna? Well, it's his devotees. And naturally, when that comes, a natural type of humility should arise, that how can I interact with his devotees and take care of his devotees? Now, that's going to be hard sometimes. Because if we have pride, we don't necessarily want to listen to criticism, because that's what the devotees are going to give, is some type of criticism, right? And it's natural. If somebody's teaching you, and you're doing something wrong, they're going to stop you and say, you should do this or you should not do this. But that takes a certain amount of humility to actually be able to handle that. I'll give you an example. Thinking. Krishna. There's a thought in my head and it just went right out. Oh, that's it. Devotee wrote me the other day. This devotee starts complaining to me. Such and such is bothering me, telling me how I'm a this and I'm a that, and telling me how I need to change and why is she being so judgmental, and she's such a highfalutin, Rudy Tooty, thinks she knows it everything better than everyone else, and how do you deal with that? So I'm sitting there thinking, oh boy, if you go and say you're wrong, then you appear insensitive. But if I go and say the other person's wrong, then I appear that I'm just playing favorites just to please somebody. And then on top of all that, I'm thinking, I don't even know the whole situation here. So I thought of my spiritual master and how I used to handle this. When you go up to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, well, the Kamagiri knows where I'm going with this, and you'd go complain to him, and first thing he'd say is, well, are they right? Why don't you stop and consider? Maybe they're right. What do you have to lose? If someone criticizes you, and you first stop and think about the criticism, two things are going to happen. Either one, they're wrong, and if they're wrong, you did at least stop and think about it, and it did help you internally take stock of your situation. Or two, they are right, and you can change for the better. So I said this to her, and then, you send, and then you're waiting for the answer to come back. And the sweat is breaking and pouring down your brow, and my God, is she gonna ready to kill me? And it comes back, and she said, "Oh, that's such a nice answer." And I think about that yeah, we're gonna have different instances, even when we may bump each other, rub each other the wrong way, and maybe even snap. Who are you to tell me? But then later on, we can always come back. Say, you know what, I'm sorry, I thought about it. You said I had an anger problem, and the way I snapped at you, I totally vindicated your point, and I gotta work on this. And I think that is a natural consequence of humility. Humility is going to be shown, and Srila Prabhupada talked about this, and Antariksha Prabhu brought this point up yesterday. He said, Prabhupada said, how is love for me going to be shown? How you guys cooperate. But there's only going to be cooperation with humility, because we're personalities, and my Guru Maharaj used to always say, persons means they have personalities, and those personalities bump against each other. One time he said to me, he goes, what? You think I like all my god brothers? Think I get along with all of them? And he mentioned one by name. He said, like such and such Maharaj. That man drives me crazy. But then he laughed about it, because he loved them, And even sometimes he'll laugh about it. And he told me about one guy, because I had one friend that was driving me crazy. He goes, you know what, in a few years, he goes, you're going to actually love that guy. He goes, but right now he's driving you crazy. But if we just stick with each other and learn to love each other, a lot of these problems are going to be solved naturally by that humility of appreciation. We appreciate, we think, oh, such and such is a this and this. Like the one devotee came to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta stopped him and said, well, do you have anything good to say about him? And the devotee thought, he goes, he leads good kirtan. It's like this, we could think, oh, you're a such and a such. But then I can think, but, she makes really good samosas, so Krishna must be liking her. Thank you very much for all your hospitality and for having us here. I can't wait to come back. Prema Vilas Prabhu, you guys are doing a great job here. And thank you for tolerating and giving us some service while we're here. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Brahmandi.